Audio rolling. Video rolling. And okay, guys, Submessenger here for Bullshido.net. Today I have a broken iPad, cracked screen rather. So this is something I've done a couple times. I know there's already 1,000 videos on YouTube about how to do this, but thought you guys like to see it in the context of one of our own doing it. So this is the whatchamahoosit case, the big fancy one, the OtterBox. So it has definitely seen its days. So the OtterBox has these little tabs in here that you have to wiggle apart. Yeah, and it's just not cooperating. But you can see where these arrows are right here. It kind of marks where these detents are. You just gotta get a finger under them or a knife. Be careful with a knife though, because you can cut those things off or seriously mark up the plastic. There, we got one going. Now it's coming apart. All right. So this is a 3rd gen iPad. It has seen its fair share of abuse. I've probably replaced this screen, I don't know, 7 or 8 times. So you go to the store and do it, and they'll charge you 100, 200, something bucks, whatever. It's a bit excessive. So instead, what you can do is go on eBay and buy a kit. And this is actually a twofer, because I actually have 2 of these to do today. Now, pretty much every time I go and buy these, they're about 10, 11 bucks, somewhere in there, depending on the color. And but I always end up buying them from different people, and they always end up sending different accessories along with them. So let's get in here, see what this is. All right. So this is actually it's a nice little spudger kit. So I call these spudgers. It says the opening tool. So we got a metal one here and a plastic one here that's got a flat edge and a point. And these are just handy for prying parts apart that don't want to come apart. So I'll just get this out, set it aside for now. Nice little vinyl handle on there. You can see it's flexible enough that you won't hopefully break things. Set that aside. We've got some wipes. I guess this is a 2-part kit. That's another of the same. And we got a toolkit proper. This is usually the same kit, I find a lot. So you got some more spudgers in here. You've got a suction cup to help you pull the glass up. We'll get to that in a moment. These screwdrivers we're probably not going to use. We might use the flat. Put that aside. More spudgers. These help you get under and pry things up. And then the guitar pick looking things. And you could actually use guitar picks for this. These are really handy for helping to index where on the glass you have removed from. I'll explain that a little bit more in a second here. And then there's another toolkit we'll set aside. And then there is the screen and digitizer proper. And what this has in it is a screen digitizer assembly. So when you touch your iPad, it uses components that are microscopically hidden in this glass to convey that information via this ribbon cable here into the electronics, the motherboard, I guess you would call it, on the inside. So, and then what you see here, all these 3M stickers, these are glue strips that have been put on here. And then we have our button over here. So we'll set that aside for now, because the first thing that we got to do is get this thing apart. And the way that we're going to do that is with a heat gun. So here you go. This is your standard Harbor Freight cheapo. This thing was like $8 or $9. It's basically a hair dryer, but industrial strength. So the way these things are assembled is there is these glue strips around the outside, and those press against an aluminum frame all around here. So in order to get that glue to release, we're going to heat it up and then use our spudgers and our guitar picks to get the glass to separate from the aluminum. The heat will help release the glue, and then we'll use our, because this one isn't broken too bad, had much worse, we'll use our suction cup, and I might even use the second one too to help us pick the glass up. We'll flip that over. Once that is done, we will unhook the electronics, get the whole surface cleaned up, put the new glass on, turn it on, and get ready to test. Oh, speaking of turning on, let's go ahead and turn it off. So just hold down the power button, slide the power off. Yeah, you can see that this digitizer is completely shot. Let's see if I can get it on the side angle here. Sometimes you can get it to... There we go. So now we're powered off. So I like working with the button towards me because the ribbon is actually going to be, you can see, here's the button and the ribbon cable is over here on this side. And I hope that is a good angle. I hope I'm showing what you need to see here. Let me move that up a bit. All right, so let's get some heat. This is going to be a bit loud. So this guy has hot and hell. So I usually just go for hot. And basically what we're going to do is just kind of, in a gentle sweeping motion, run around the surface. Don't concentrate on any one area. If you get this thing too hot, you might start to desolder components on the inside or do other kind of thermal damage. So we're just going to take it for a quick pass for maybe 20 seconds or so, and then see if we can get some lift and start working it out from there. So here we go. So I'm probably going to start down in this corner because you can see I've already got some damage down here where it's going to make it really easy. There's a bezel under there that has been basically destroyed. Alright, and let's start with this guy. I haven't used this kind before. So we'll see. Yeah, look, so we got nice separation starting already. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's like some crackling going on there. So basically what you do as you're moving along, you can use these picks to, like I said, index the way you've worked. And you'll notice as it starts to cool off, the glue is going to start to get a little more tack, a little bit more tack. So just try and keep that positioned here. Okay. And especially once you've done this a few times for the same device, you just get worse and worse as far as how this thing is going to react over time. On the first shot, it's not going to be this easy. And then also be aware that this is glass. And so the broken parts are very sharp and can cut you. All right, so actually I said I was going to do it with the button towards me, but I'm going to do it like this instead, because I think it's a little bit better for the camera angle. So what we've got here is the LCD itself, and then the glass and digitizer assembly. This operation is basically the same for any modern cell phone, iPad, tablet, whatever, with one caveat. Some devices will actually have a lamination from the digitizer to the LCD. The 3rd gen iPads do not, but I know that a lot of Samsung phones do. So while that went relatively quick on camera, the lamination is basically a film of glue between these two surfaces, and that significantly increases the complexity of the task, because you have to really slowly and patiently work that glue apart. And the reason why is the LCD itself is extremely fragile, and if you get too much of a bend going as you're trying to separate that glue, you'll puncture and destroy your LCD. Then the whole thing is trash. Then this is not a $10 operation. This is, replacing the entire unit basically at that point. So what we need to do is remove the LCD. This thing is filthy. And so we get some access to the underside here. This is the inside. Here's all the brains, really. These 3 black guys here are, you can see lithium ion. These are the battery packs. Maybe in a future video I'll do a battery replacement. This is not what I do for a living, by the way. This is just what you do when you have a little bit of mechanical ability and not a lot of money to waste, and you have children with expensive electronic devices. So what we need to do is these ribbon cables. So this one here is the ribbon cable for the LCD itself, and we're just going to put him out of the way. I'm not going to disconnect him today. So I'm just going to tuck him over like this, and that gives me access to these 2 connectors for the digitizer assembly. So get in here really close, and I'm using this flat screwdriver. There's a little flip switch here that you have to flip up like that, and I'll just do the one right now, so maybe the difference will show up on camera. So we flip the one up. That released the one side of the cable. We do it for the other one. Flips right up. And you can just pull gently, and he's released. And this guy goes to the trash. So I'm just going to examine the edges here. Make sure we don't have any sharp pieces stuck that would get in our way. The remaining glue, that's fine. Oh, see, there you go. So there's pieces of that bezel that are just coming out, and we don't want those rolling around in that machine. So you can see here's the bezel, and it's just totally toast because drop it on the corner. So this outer case is aluminum, and it will bend and ding up, and it will cause this very frail plastic bezel to crack and shatter over time. So we just don't want to leave any pieces of that around. But the remaining tack on the surface, I'm not going to clean that up. I think it's going to help give us a better stick, especially since this thing has been dropped so many times. So again, let me move my screen gently out of the way. Now, something I didn't cover is there is actually a plastic protective coating on both sides of this glass. So I don't mind putting my fingers on it while I'm working here. So we'll just gently come in here and remove this packing tape. All right. And we have our ribbon cable. So important point here is to remember your orientation once you get started. If you're unsure, right down here there's two little contacts, two little gold-plated contacts right here, and those are the contacts for the main button here, whatever you call that, the home key. So if you can find those and line them up, you'll know you're in the right side. The camera up here similarly has a camera housing here, lens cover, whatever you want to call it. So we'll get that all cleaned up in a minute. All those smudges on the screen. So all you're going to do is really gently push this in. There are some little index marks, crimp marks or whatever, those little white lines there kind of give you an idea of how far in you need to go. But once you get it started, which is the hardest part, it goes pretty quick. Okay, you need to make sure that that is in fully, because if it's not, what'll happen is you'll have like an x-axis and not a y-axis, and that makes it pretty much useless, and you'll have to take the whole thing apart and fix it. And that's basically in. So we're going to grab our wet wipe here. Let's get this main screen LCD face cleaned off. Because it's got some fingerprints and smear and stuff on it. A little bit of excess glue on there too. Try not to press too hard on this LCD because it is very, very fragile. And flip sides here a couple times, because as you're picking up that dirt and stuff, you want to be getting it off of there, not just spreading it around to be even worse. And that kind of looks like what happened last time. Take our dry wipe, try and get a polish on here. I can get the thing out. Jeez. Yeah, these pads suck. I have to go get the old microfiber. All that oxidation from dirt coming up. And grease smudges and stuff. Let me go get the microfiber, see if we can clean this up a little bit better. And it looks like what probably happened with this is that there's some condensation that got inside due to the glass being cracked. that kind of formed that weird wavy looking film on the top of it. Like I said, this thing has been through hell, so I'm probably not going to get it perfect anyway, but just enough so that it's not distracting while it's in use. Yeah, this is doing a fine job, man. Look at some of that dirt coming up off of there, though. I don't know if you can see that. This thing was clean. Some of that has this foam seal around the outside, which is also kind of gone to shit. All right, we're going to call that good enough. All right, so we'll put the screen back in place. Oh, I should probably mention, the piece that you missed is that I originally bought this as a refurb from the Apple store. And the first time that I had to replace the screen, all the screws were missing. So they did not do such a hot job on the refurb. So this guy needs to kind of tuck in. You'll see he's got a slight fold there that goes under the lip. He needs to tuck in there. And kind of get the LCD in place. We're just going to lay this on the top right now and power this thing on because we want to make sure that this actually works before we glue it together and basically waste a screen. So we'll hit the power button for a second here. All right, so slide to unlock. Let's see. Oh, we don't have contact. Slide to unlock. Enter the super secret passcode. Boom, we're in like Flynn. So let's see, what do we got that we can do here? Let's try out maps. This is undoubtedly going to show you where I live. Nope, it's not. All right. So we got pinch, 2-finger pinch, scrolling up, scrolling left, right. That's a pretty good function check. So I'm just going to leave it powered up. Just be really careful not to touch any of the internals. Get this stuff tucked away properly. So move the screen back out of the way. This guy needs to pinch in, and once you get it in the right place, he kind of folds himself under there, but you don't want to stress that too much lest you rupture the cable. So just kind of gingerly tuck it in there. Get the screen back on its screw posts, for which we have no screws. Okay. Now we'll remove the protective film. So actually I'm going to remove the glue strips first. It makes it a little easier. And you can see that the digitizer works independently of the LCD here. So I have no fingernails, but to give us all these sharp tools, I should probably use one of those. Some needle nose pliers might help too. Static electricity. All right, so just get these strips off of here. All the way around. It's like 8 of these things. This one you've got to kind of go underneath for, which that was kind of a mistake. Never done this on film before, so excuse me a little bit. It seems a little bit haphazard. That's probably my face in frame. Ugly mug. All right. So that's off. We got to retuck here. So we came out a little bit. Where'd that water come from? Don't do this. Come on. Alright, so he's tucked. Minecraft is firing up apparently. So now we'll remove the underside protective sheet. Being careful not to touch the inside of the glass. A little bit of dust going on there. Bring this guy down. And press him into place. All right, so I'm going to leave that protective film on for a second. Set him aside. So we noticed it was kind of had a little bit of film to it. And again, this OtterBox has seen better days, but we'll go ahead and try and clean up the inside here. Best we can. Take the base of the OtterBox, position him in. Now we're going to remove the film. Wow, they're getting chintzy at this. Look at that glue on the film that's left over. I'm not going to be able to clean that off. Oh, it's like the film delaminated itself. Well, that sucks. Like this rubber glue on here. Oh man, that's just horrible. It's like a fine grade rubber cement on there. And it just completely delaminated itself in plastic. So I don't know if that's just cheap manufacturing or if this thing maybe had some thermal issues during shipment. It's been pretty cold. So now when I'm done with this, then I'm going to have to clean the glass. Get this thing off. That's as good as we're going to get. I left a couple smudges on the inside screen. Snaps it all together. Fuck. Shit is just messy. That's not supposed to happen. That glue should have all come up attached to the plastic, not to the glass. Cover goes back on. arm back up. Try and clean this off while we're working on it. Yeah, see the underside's a mess, the upper side's a mess. Get some Windex. Another thing I like to use instead of Windex is just a damp paper towel. And this always works, especially if you make it nice and hot. Nice hot water. If you're not sure whether or not the cleaning solvent that you're using is going to interact with the plastic that you're cleaning, go straight to water. Universal solvent. Man, this thing has seen better days. And just once over it again. That's better. So final function check. Slide to unlock. Super secret passcode. And we'll go for a function check. 4-finger slide. Seems to work. Come over here to maps. Again, where we were. Really? I got a hair in there? Son of a bitch. Well, it's in between the OtterBox and the digitizer. So we got 4 degrees of freedom. Well, 2 really. We've got pinching working. The multi-finger swipe works. Right? There it is. That's more to do with this plastic cover than with the actual function of the digitizer. All right, so we will call this a wrap, and we will see you on bullshido.net. Have a good one.